All right, I want to tell you sort of a funny story. It's not really funny, it's sad. Okay, now this is a hook ruler. I believe it's brown and sharp. Well, whoever made it, it's defective. When you hook it on the end of something like this and measure in, it's a little bit off. I was at I won't say the name of the place because he did give it to me for free, but he says something's wrong with it, and you can see that somebody tried to unscrew the screw in order to adjust it, maybe to adjust it in or grind something. He says, here, someone brought it back. But when you hook it and you can measure from the end. Now this is a machinist rule, and it's a Sears. It's a Sears Craftsman. Bought it years ago. I got several of these. They're pretty good. This one here was my first 1-footer, and this is a U.S. General. Got it at Edmund Scientific. There was a barrel of these things nobody wanted. You can see they ground the U.S. General name off it. When they etched them, when they etched the what you call the divisions, it didn't come out right in some spots. All right, so they rejected it, and then they ground the name off, and they sold it to a surplus place, and that's where I bought it for like $1. But I use it a lot. And then I have a backup one that's made in Japan. This is only for the most precision. I only take it out of the plastic sheathing when I actually absolutely want to do something really spectacular. And this one here, let me look real quick. This one here is, this side is 30 seconds and 64ths. And then this side, I believe it's hundredths. Yeah, tenths and hundredths. Okay? And that's of an inch. This isn't metric. Now I wanted to see what this one is. Yeah, this one's 30 seconds and 64. So, all right. Now, years ago, I designed CNC machines way before anybody else showed up, over 20 years ago. And I designed the machines, most of the parts, out of hardware store parts, place things you could buy at materials at the hardware store, or a plastics company. I used a window channel for store fronts, for shopping malls as the beds. Okay, now I sold the plans, and before I sold the plans, I built the machines for myself, and then I went back through it and I changed the dimensions of a lot of the parts so they'd be 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch off the 1/4 inch thick plastic or 1/2 inch plastic, but all the measurements of the machine were even numbers. I didn't give them any wacky, if, at the most it'd be 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. Okay, I didn't give them any wacky decimals or fractions or anything like that. Now, 1/2 or 1/4, not a wacky fraction. In a few places, there might be a 64th. So anyway, guy buys the plans, and then he emails me back with a picture. Oh, first of all, he goes, what do you use to measure? And I said, well, you want to go to Sears and get a machinist rule. Okay, so he claims that the guy has never heard of a machinist rule. Now, I don't know what he said to the guy, whether when he got to the store, he said mechanics rule, or I don't know what he did, but he came back. He emails me back and says they never heard of it. So I believe there's a part number on here somewhere. And I got the part number, and I told him he went back, he got it. Okay, so then he emails me a picture of the machinist rule, and he wants me to explain what the lines are for on the rule. And I said, they're fractions on one side. Well, what's a fraction? And I thought he was kidding around. I thought he was that stupid. Okay, he wanted to build the CNC machine, but no skill set at all, none. And then he starts asking me questions like, well, how do you draw a hole? How do you? I said, I wrote back to him the honest truth. I wasn't going to play anymore with him. I'm in the third day with this guy. The set of plans was $35, and we're now in the negative numbers. Okay, got to remember, I sell a set of plans for $35. What percentage of that is research and development time? How much of my money did I put in to build the unit, and the time to do all the drawings, the time to do the website? You're talking maybe $5. Now we're on the third day, and this guy don't know how to read a ruler. All right, and he's saying to me, well, you don't have very much patience. I'm like, you don't understand. When you want to build something, you bring to the table a certain amount of skill set. You know, I had other people, I can't cut the part, I can't get it straight. Well, what are you using? You're using a handsaw. I said, well, you work off the dimension of the 1/4 inch plastic. Well, I got this piece of, he doesn't have the plastic I recommend. He's using plexi, which is much harder to cut. I said, look, you need to go to a plastics place and get yourself some gray PVC. All right, now if you don't know what gray PVC is, let me show you real quick. 1/2 inch thick gray PVC. Cuts like wood. You can drill it, you can tap it. You can get this on eBay. Okay, you can buy sheets of it. After you work it, let me show you a part. After you work a part, it's going to look something like this. Okay, countersunk holes. You can really make some nice stuff out of the gray PVC. So in other words, all the dimensions on this part are all even numbers. 4.5. Okay. So anyway, I can't cut it straight. It won't. You know, I said, look, if you have the skill set, you can build the CNC machine with hand tools. Okay, and I explained you might want a belt sander, but it's possible to do it. But anyway, people that never built anything in their life before started buying the circuit board and trying to solder. It was a nightmare. Okay, now what I didn't realize was how big people's ego is. In other words, they think they can do things they have no rat's ass chance in hell of doing, and they start doing it. And then when it don't work out, it's your fault. And I started getting nasty with people. People are like, well, you got a real bad attitude. Well, you know what? I don't make really any money off those plans. I was showing people that I made the machine, and people started emailing me. And I decided to put out a plan set. And the whole idea was to put a CNC machine in the hands of people that want to learn the coding. They draft in CAD, you draft a cutout pattern in DXF, then you convert it over, okay? And it's amazing. I wanted to get people to learn the 3 different things, you know, the drawing, or the design, the drawing, the conversion to G-code, and then running the machine and setting the machine. And it was a nightmare. There were people that had no clue, I mean no clue about operating a computer, loading a program, and you attract the most biggest dreamers, and they dream about this stuff, and then when they actually go to build it, they have no skill, and then it's your fault. Now I always say and tell people, if you sold a kit with 10 parts, a large percent of people would screw up the kit. All right, there would be people that put it in a closet and never build it. There's things I never saw. What I saw in the design when I started designing it. Let's keep it simple. Let's use materials you can find if you're out in the middle of Idaho, you know. And I did all this. I put so much extra time into making a machine that an average person that knows how to make things could make, and very quickly. And it just didn't work out. I didn't realize how stupid people are. Now, in this, I was reading this article. It says basically, you're on the borderline of stupid yourself if you don't understand how stupid people really are. And I was reading this article, and I started laughing. I said, well, I have to include myself in that group. I never really realized. Now, one time I was talking to a neighbor, and I was starting to get into teaching people how to use the computer. And just to be able to turn it on, both switches, folks, because back in the old days, you had to turn the bottom unit on and the monitor. A lot of people would forget the second switch. Yeah, they forget the second. I said to my neighbor, I'm going to teach people how to get on the internet. And he says, do you really think you can teach everybody how to do that? And I said, what do you mean? He says, do you realize how stupid some people are? And if they come to you and you've got to teach them and they just don't learn. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, there's people that want to learn stuff that don't have the ability. And he says, how are you going to break it to them that they're stupid. And I said, you know, you're right. I don't know how to do that. But it was so amazing to get an email of a picture of this rule. And the guy says, what are those lines on? I thought he was trolling me. I really did. But then he was like, you know, when you say a 32nd of an inch, oh, that's that crap they wanted to teach me in school. Yeah, oh, man, what does that guy do for a living? You know, but yeah, this hook rule, I was in this supply place. He goes, here, I bought something. He goes, here, take this thing. I go, what's the matter? He goes, it isn't right. And it's real close, but it's off. But this is when you come off the end of the material, it's called a hook rule. And then you can really get, if this is accurate, you can really make some accurate markings. And I tend to just put this thing to the end and put my finger up against it. And actually a block of some sort. I hope that, yeah, it's in the frame. And that's how I do it. You know, I'm very fanatical, and a lot of times, here's what I do. I overlap like that. And then you don't forget, you got to change the amount of inches. 4 inches is really 3 inches now. I learned a lot of tricks over the years, building stuff. But I was reading this article, and it says, yeah, if you don't really realize how many stupid people there are out there, that's one of you're basically borderline. See, really smart people keep quiet a lot. I always put myself in the stuff. Smart people, really smart people, don't care if you think they're stupid. Okay, it doesn't bother them. They'll walk away and leave you standing there. Okay, and I always tell you, Mark Twain says, when you argue with a stupid person, or when you argue with a stupid person, who's really stupid? You know, and then there's a whole other saying about how they'll drag you down to their level, and they're much better at it than you are at arguing stupid things. But, you know, I did learn certain things over the years, but I just had to tell you that there was someone that actually took a picture of this and was able to upload it to me. And he wanted me to tell him what the lines are. And I was like, you know, and it's that stupid stuff they tried to teach them in school. Oh, my God. And yeah, I've bumped into those people now. And I just said, I tell them, I said, you better get someone to help you or do it. And then they're like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to work for free. I know where it's going. Okay? Nobody that asks you to fix something is going to pay you full amount. They're looking for someone to stick it to. Okay? And that's the truth. All right? You've been a repairman long enough, you know that people in your family, when they bring stuff for you to look at, I did a video on, could you look at it? That means, can you fix it for free? And it's basically one step from the garbage. There are people that, when you say it's not repairable, they'll put it back in the closet. And 2 years later, they'll ask you again about it. They totally forgot that they asked you and showed it to you. Yeah, they're out there too. And there's also people, anytime you mention a subject and give them the full story, like I'll mention that I have a friend of mine that sells pre-war Lionel trains. And, we have a box of trains in the cellar. I said, well, basically, if they're in the cellar, he don't want them. Why not? Why don't? No, they have to be in the original boxes. The original boxes? No. Are they in mint condition? Yeah. No, he doesn't want them. Those are parts trains. They take the insides out and use them on other trains. Okay? People don't understand that the train's been played with. It's not original. Yeah, there are people that'll buy it from you, but not at the price that you think you're going to get. And that's one of the other crazy thing about people. What they own is in mint condition, even though it really isn't. In their head, it's in mint condition. In reality, it's down in the cellar, in a cardboard box, in a puddle of water. I think that's it. All right, that's it.